Hello.
Hi guys.
Here she is.
Got your lunch?
Hiya, Keely. Good to see you.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's all right.
Nice to see you.
You too.
You are still the Queen of the North, so don't worry, you can do what you want.
Well, here we are.
Amo doesn't give them out lightly, those titles.
Oh, no, Queen of the North, yeah, definitely.
Right, let's do it. Keely, welcome back to High Performance.
Yay, thanks for having me back.
So the last time we spoke, it was July 2024.
Yes.
It was pre-Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. Now you're here as the Olympic champion.
Oh, that went bad.
Yes, quite right. Applaud yourself.
Yay. I did it.
What's different about the Keely sitting in front of us from the one that we spoke to?
God, probably so much, you know? Like, this last year has been the most insane year of my life, I would say, in every way possible. Like, personally, on and off the track. Like, just, if you'd have said to me in, like, January, this is what's going to happen this year, and this is how things play out, and this is what's, like, how you're going to feel, I would have been like, we need a movie about this. So I think I've just had a lot of growth. I feel like a different person. I think I look like a different person. And it's just been a really exciting year, even though there's been a lot of troubles and hardship. Like, I've cried a lot this year, but I've also laughed just as much. So yeah, I'm really happy.
So if someone decided to make a movie about this last year, what is the moment in the movie where someone would go, hold on, that's too far, that's not even believable? What is the thing that they would say, we can't even put that in because it's too crazy?
Can't even put it in. I wouldn't even say it's one. I think it was just a series of events. Like, I've been injured a lot this year. So if we're going to talk about my career, like I've been hurt and I've had injuries before. I've had things like that. And I think it's just having it so close to a season. I've never had that. And it's almost like you couldn't write it. It was almost like one good thing would happen. I went to get my MBE. That was an incredible experience. 2 days later, tore my hamstring, I'm out for the season. It was just a constant contrast of, like, amazing things happening. Okay, now we're at rock bottom. So I think that's what has been challenging, doing things like that and balancing everything. Like, becoming Olympic champion was the best moment ever. But it also came with a lot of other things, a lot of opportunities, a lot of fun stuff to do. Like, I really enjoyed my time after the Olympics, but, like, I did get hurt in Paris and didn't finish my season last year. So I had enough time to, like, recover with that, but then also enjoy everything that was coming. But then once that was over, I was, like, locked in, tunnel vision. I was actually more motivated than I'd ever been, which is so interesting because after Tokyo, I think I spoke about it with you guys last year, I probably hit a bit of a stage of depression after that. And everything was hard work and training was hard work and everything just felt very mellow and down. Whereas I was, like, flying high. I was, like, ready to go, wanted to, like, we had the Keely Classic come out in February, which was my own track meet, which was really exciting. Wanted to run in that. Got hurt 2 days before. There's just that constant up and down, but it's life.
See, I was taken with the conversation we had last time because I went away and looked at some stats where the Danish Olympic Association recorded that 27% of athletes reported moderate to severe cases of depression. The IOC suggests that it's about 35% of elite athletes suffer post-games blues. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, definitely after Tokyo, I think that equipped me for what was to come in Paris. So I was, like, already not prepared. It sounds really depressing when you say, like, you don't get too high, so you don't get too low. Yep. I'm very good at keeping my emotions very stable. So I kind of knew, coming off the back of that year and everything I've been for the last couple of years of championships and this and that, how to sort of manage that come down a little bit more. So I almost think coming second in Tokyo is probably the best thing that could have happened to me. It allowed me to work towards something. I'm still so young. I was 22 in Paris when I won gold. And also just learn how to manage everything afterwards because I definitely wouldn't have coped with that in 2021.
So how did you manage the downs then?
I think just surrounding yourself with good people. I have amazing family and friends. I was trying to understand it. I think it's important to, like, just, if you try and constantly brush something off, like, I'm fine, it never goes away. So I think it's good to sit in the emotions and, like, let them pass through. If you want to cry, then cry. If you don't feel like doing it today, like, make that known. But then the other part of me is also like, no, Keely, you're a professional athlete. Like, you want this, you want to train, you want to go out and do this. So you're, like, forcing yourself to do it. It's a bit of a conflicting moment to be in with your brain because you don't want to do it, but you do want to do it. And you almost feel guilty for not wanting to do it, but you know that's going to get you where you want to be. So it was a real interesting time. I think I learned a lot through that definitely equipped me for coming after Paris, where I've not really had any of that this year.
It's a good insight that though, isn't it, into the sort of mental gymnastics that you have to undergo as an athlete, because people will think 90% of your life is about making yourself into the perfect physical condition.
Yeah.
But we're talking already about the perfect mental condition, which is equally as important, maybe arguably more important.
I think more important, 100%. I think you can do everything physically to be like the best you can be. I think I probably learnt this in Tokyo as well, just going at the World Championships. That was probably the most underconfident I've ever been going into World Championships. I was really like trying to fake it till you make it, like just telling myself to be confident and hyping myself up. But I would say mentally is definitely the edge. I think that's what I'm good at. I think that's one of my strengths, keeping calm under those pressures, how to shut that little voice up in your mind that's telling you everything that could go wrong, or you've not had the right preparation this season, you're not how it's been the last couple of years. I'm in a whole new territory, hoping it goes well.
So is that why you think you weren't confident going into Tokyo? Because of the story of the year?
It was a bit of a weird one. So I obviously opened my season in August, like literally 5 weeks ago, which is mental. And I've never had to do that before. I'm not an athlete that needs loads of races. When it comes to track and field, there's some athletes that like to build into their season. They like to get a few to like dust off the cobwebs. I've never really been that type of athlete. I can come out and just bang. Because Trevor and Jen, who my coaches, they know what they're doing. They're amazing. I know what I'm doing. We've been doing this a long time now. So opening so late, everything on the mind was, I didn't even think I was going to compete. We'll start there. I didn't even think I was going to compete this year. I tore my hamstring in May, and I was like, oh God, this is bad. Like, how am I didn't want to miss the World Championships, but at the same time, my body's clearly, something's not right. This is the third injury I've had back to back in the last year. So it was getting my head around that. Then it was, okay, week by week, you get injured, rehab, back into the rehab, back on the bike. Then it's, okay, let's try run. I started running end of June, and I put my spikes on for the first time just before London Diamond League, so mid-July, and I raced in August. So this was like just mentally getting over all those things, and like you turn up to training and it's, okay, am I going to run today? Maybe I might feel something. Maybe it's not today. Maybe it's next week. So when I finally got around to being in race shape, training ended up going really well. We were very surprised, but also not completely surprised because I had spent the entire year training, just doing alternative training. Yeah. So the fitness was still there. I just needed my body to be able to cope with the demands needed for me to run really well over 800. So everything was all about, let's make it to the start line. Let's just race. I just want to race. I don't care how it goes. I would just like to race. I ended up being in really good shape. So then I thought, well, I don't have time to waste. I need to just bang one out. So I absolutely went for it, sent it in Celestia, and ran a world lead 154, which was such an amazing day. It was kind of just like the reward from everything and the hard work and all of that.
On High Performance, we talk a lot about ownership, about taking charge of the areas of your life that others leave to chance. Because when you step up and lead, you create the outcomes you want. And that's what Hive is here for, to put you in control of your energy. With solar, you can get the sun to work for you by turning sunlight from your roof into greener energy. And the control doesn't stop there. With the Hive app, you can track, manage, and optimize your energy all in one place. Clear, simple, built around you. And this, I think, is the real game changer. When you produce more energy than you need, you can sell it back to the grid, meaning the energy companies are paying you. At High Performance, look, we believe the future belongs to those who take action, and Hive puts that power directly in your hands, in your home. It's your energy, your rules. Hive, know your power. Visit hivehome.com to find out more. Output and savings varies by season, electricity usage and system size. Paid for surplus requires an eligible SEG tariff. On High Performance, our guests often remind us that recovery is the foundation of performance and that sleep is the most powerful tool for our health and success. Yet most of us don't give our sleep enough attention. We spend a third of our lives asleep, yet many of us only think about our mattress when we move house. Imagine the difference if we treated our sleep with the same intention as our training or nutrition, because that's where true performance and health can be unlocked. Using real sleep data, Simba has designed hybrid mattresses that support your spine, reduce motion from your partner, and help you stay cool throughout the night. Simba's innovation has earned them over 100 sleep awards and 6 Which Best Buy titles across their range, including the adjustable hybrid pillow and their cooling duvets, all created to help you achieve your best night's sleep. They offer a 200-night no-quibble trial, a 10-year guarantee, and next-day delivery straight to your door. You don't realise how much better you could be sleeping until you try a Simba. Shop now at simbasleep.com/high-performance.
And then it was, okay, let's do one more race. And then that's it. That's all I've got going into Tokyo. I haven't raced in a year. The last time I ran, I became Olympic champion. And that's that. So then going into Tokyo, it was kind of like, I was confident, but you normally need like at least 6 or 7 races, at least. If I was to compare it to Georgia, my training partner, who did really well, she's ran 23 races this year, including the indoors, which I was also meant to do, but didn't do.
And what does that give you that you need?
I think if I look back on the final, you could tell I was not race sharp just because it's that practice of running with people. It's that not panicking. It's the composure. It's, it's just practice. And when you've had that long out, maybe I underestimated a little bit that I might be okay because I'd had 2 good runs, but this year, the best way for me to run it was just to absolutely send it because I hadn't had the training that I'd normally had to be able to sit back or do this. So that in itself was a bit of an underconfident. So I knew going into the final, I was going to have to be quick because I didn't have that change of pace that I normally would have, that I had at the Olympics last year. So and you don't know what the people are going to do. When it comes to like, you watch the 400, they all run in a lane, nobody gets in your way. And 800, I have a plan, but everyone else also has a plan and they want to beat you. So that's where it gets a little more complicated. And I think my lack of races probably showed in the final, just with getting caught up at the front with what was going on there. A lot of surging. If you surge in the 800 meters, it's going to kill you in that last 100. And that's exactly what happened. But overall, I think it's been an incredible year, and to finish with a medal on the podium, not the colour I would have wanted, but I think there's like so much to be proud of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's 2 things you said there, though, that really intrigued me. One is around that first race of the season when you set a world best. And you said, I went out there and didn't care about how I did. How do you keep hold of that sense of just going out there with what sounds like a bit of freedom?
Yeah, that's been another challenge I've learnt this year. I did a lot of talking with Keely Holmes, and we're good friends, and she spent a lot of her time, a lot of her career injured, and I thought, who better to talk to than someone who's literally been there and done it? So I spent a lot of time talking to her, and we just kind of really focused on, like, you just have to focus on yourself. Back in like May, June, when everyone's running and I'm sat on the sidelines watching and I really want to be there, that was really tough. I didn't enjoy that at all. But I just knew, okay, just got to ignore it. Anything can happen in a season, like literally anything. Yeah. I'm not running now, but then I ended up running. I think a lot of people probably thought, nah, she's not making it to Worlds, whatever. But I was so focused and so locked into just what I was doing of like making me the best. So that when I came back to be able to run, that no stone was left unturned, that I was ready to go. So that I had no seconds to waste, like nothing. So I was just real tunnel vision, very much focused on myself. I think that's just kind of what paid off for me, I guess. I think going into races, it was just focused on what can I do? I spent a lot of time learning how can I run the best 800 meters for me? And then if we're going to get into the whole science of it, it's like, what's the first 200 running? What you're coming through in 400? And that's exactly what I did in Celestia. I just ran the splits to exactly how I know to run that certain time. Okay. And the race just went extremely well. There's obviously a challenge that it might not, but overall the mindset was just, I'm just so happy to be back out here racing. I had my Nike, I'm sponsored by Nike, and they do the Olympic champion colorway. And I was like gutted because I thought I'm not even going to get to wear this Olympic champion colorway because you only get it for a year. You have to then win the world champs and things like that. So I was just happy to be back out there in good shape, in spikes, and just competing again. Yeah.
And my second question then is, you spoke about how you learned to silence that little voice on your shoulder, reminding you of what you haven't done or the preparation that hasn't gone as well as you wanted. How on earth did you learn to turn the dial down on that voice?
That voice was very loud this year. I think more so not in my ability to race, but just in a trust in my body. I'd never torn my hamstrings before, and they're quite a big they're not really a nice one to do. They're not a comfortable one to do, so I couldn't sprint or anything like that. So on the start line in Celestia, I was more it wasn't a case of, was the race going to go bad? I think it was more like, is my body going to be able to cope with this? Am I going to get to 500 and like feel something? And then like, I remember coming down the back straight and being like, is my hamstrings okay? And you don't want to be thinking about that. You do not want to be thinking about that in a race because it's off-putting. It's something, and it's a doubt. So that's been the biggest challenge. Even going into training, I remember that week going into the race, I had a session and I thought I could feel something in my hamstrings, so I didn't do it. Which going into your first feedback, that's not what you want at all. I'm like, this is so not it. But it's my mind playing tricks on me. So we're just having those things, and even going into the World Champs, it was still there now. I'm still trying to get rid of it. And I'm hoping going into this new season, I can put all that behind me now that it's over and build up that confidence again with my legs. But I would say that's the biggest thing. And I have a very much like effort and do it mindset. Like kind of just get up and get on with it. And just like, if it's going to go, it's going to go. And if you don't even try, you're going to be even more pissed off than would it be if I didn't.
So are you mentally stronger now than the Keely we spoke to a year ago?
I think so. I thought I was pretty mentally strong then, but I think I've definitely grown a lot and learnt a lot. And I mean, I would be naive to think I was going to go my entire career and not have any problems like this. Like I said, I've had injuries before, but nothing as challenging as this. And I think it's actually really important that I went through it, to be honest. I think it's taught me a lot. I can take this going into my future and think, if you can get through that and all those mental mind games and all of that, then...
Well, we're taught, aren't we, from a very young age that hard things are bad for us, right?
Yeah.
But actually,
avoid at all costs.
Hard things can sometimes be the best thing for us. What is hard for us isn't necessarily bad for us. What do you look at over the last 12 months as your own personal lowest moment?
It probably was back in like May, June. I think that was just the tip of the iceberg. And when you're going through, or you're feeling down and things aren't going well and you're wondering why are things going well, and then the world that we live in now as well with social media and people all of a sudden now have an opinion on what you're doing. And I think from the outside, it really came across like I was doing anything but training, which was so far from the truth. But when you're in those low, normally I would just ignore those things. I'd be like, well, I know what I'm doing and da-da-da. But when I'm not competing, I keep getting hurt, things keep going wrong, I think they affect you more than what you think. And you start not believing it, but you're like, oh, maybe that is true. Like maybe I'm not focused or this and that. And I think that was probably something that was a bit hard to deal with at the time. And I didn't have that last year. There wasn't as many eyes on me, I guess you could say, in terms of what I was running, where I was training, what I was doing. Like if I just did anything outside of track, it was like, she's not concentrating, she doesn't care anymore. And that's so far from the truth and so far from who I am. Like I don't let anything affect my work. I'm so adamant on that. So I think it was just a bit annoying to have that, as well as then like, I'm doing my absolute best to get back. Like all I want to do is run. But that's when you have to just remind you that social media is not real. And again, just focus on your own thing.
And when we spoke last time, one of the big themes that I took away was about motivation, because you told us the story of your dad offering to buy you a pair of shoes from Selfridges in the Greater Manchester Championships when you were a young girl. And then you told us about you were setting the target of a beige Porsche. Was your reward. You'd promised yourself a gold medal. First of all, did you get the Porsche? And secondly, what have you used to motivate yourself since winning that gold?
I did not get the Porsche. I did test drive one though. It was so low. Like it was hurting my 22-year-old knees. I was like, I can't get in and out of this. Yeah. I literally had it for 4 days and I was like, I actually cannot. But it was a beautiful car, but I didn't get it in the end. And then what have I used for motivation this year? To be honest, like last year, I enjoyed competing so much. Like I enjoyed like that feeling of being in the best shape of your life, being able to put on a performance, like win races, just being able to do what you've worked so hard for was literally all my motivation this year. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't have anything special or anything. I just wanted to be out there. I wanted to be on a start line, be announced as an Olympic champion, and just be dominant in what I know that I'm good at. So that was kind of just in my mind on replay the whole time. I was in rehab, trying to get back on the bike. I was like, when you get back and you're running really well, it's going to be so good. So
See, but I found that interesting because, again, I think one of the things that I took away from that chat last time, Keely, was your ability to navigate along the spectrum of motivation from intrinsic right the way through to sometimes the intrinsic rewards you were promising yourself. So
yeah.
what was it you were sort of focused on, like intrinsically, as well as running as well as you could? Were you setting challenges about this is what I want to be better at, this is how I want to be perceived by my rivals?
I think a good thing when you get injured, you have so much more time to. I have not traveled as much as I spent between April and July at home, which I never get to do. And with that time, I got to see my family more. I got to see my friends more. I just wanted to just enjoy life. I think sometimes when athletes get injured, it can very much go, like you said, not to punishment, but it's like tunnel vision. Like, and I was very much locked into that, but I always make sure that I'm also living life as well. I got to see my friend and her boyfriend perform on the DJ set. I got to go spend loads of time with my family and do all these nice things as well as what I'm doing. And it all worked out. I think that's what's really important for me. So I think maybe that's another way I'm a different person now. I don't look at those things as like goals that I want. It's more just, I just want to enjoy every little thing that comes my way and just have a good time with that and surround myself with great people and experience good things.
And have you lost any of the kind of the innocence, right, that you might have had pre-Olympics? Because I look at both these two stories and I think, of course, you were in great form mentally, physically going into the Olympics and then went and won it. And that in itself is absolutely praiseworthy and incredible. But actually it tests a whole different side of you when you're injured and you've got scrutiny and you've got expectation from other people, but also from yourself and your coaches and the other athletes that you're competing against because you're the Olympic champion. And then you mix all that up with, the self-doubt that comes with not being in the perfect physical shape. I think that being able to perform in flow is amazing. Well done. But also being able to perform
when it's not going
when you're not in flow and things aren't going your way is very different. But I think also there's an innocence that kind of disappears when suddenly you put onto your Instagram that you're off out for a meal and people assume that means that you don't care about your work, right? Mm-hmm. Have you had to change how you kind of interact with social media because of that?
I try not to.
Yeah.
I really try not to because it's just me. I'm just having a good time. But it was like after I did get the bronze at the World Champs, there was a bunch of comments, people being like, you should be embarrassed. Like, what a letdown of a show, like, da-da-da-da-da. And that's obviously not nice. It's like, oh, she's too busy making TikTok videos. But I'm like, there's so many hours to kill when you're out there doing nothing. I want to do whatever I want. I think I just comes back to like, in this life, you really can't just do whatever you want. You just got to block out what people say. So, but like I say, when you're in that low point, that's when it can affect you more. Even though I got the bronze at World, I wasn't happy with it, but I did the best that I could. Like, I look back at the race and I'm like, there's probably a couple areas I made some mistakes that might cost me, but it's over with now. What can I do? I can just have to take what it is, learn from that, and then move on to the next. I'm very much a person, I take one day to be sad about it, and then I don't even think about it again.
Do you? You literally give yourself 24 hours and then...
Yeah, 24 hours to cry, be upset, maybe think, so-and-so, what did I learn from that? And then, okay, it didn't happen, carry on.
You see, one of the ways that you can solve this is by leaning further into training, further into hard work, more early mornings, more early nights. Another way that you can do it is by getting your mind in the right place. And that I wanted to talk to you about spirituality, because there's some lovely quotes actually that you've...
I love spirituality.
That you've said. You said, I'm quite spiritual. I believe that things are going to happen.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I've been on a real journey with spirituality this year. Like I get really into that. I just believe that within the universe, everything is already planned. It's already made. It's going to happen. That's kind of one thing that I tell myself sometimes before races. I'm like, all you need to do is show up. It's already planned anyway. What's going to happen is what's going to happen. I think that really keeps me grounded and keeps me present in that moment, and not to stress too much about what's going to happen. And you can take that into everything in life. Yeah. Like if you make a wrong decision, it doesn't matter. The path is already aligned. You'll find your way back around, If you're debating breaking up with someone, well, it's okay, because if it's going to happen, you guys will get back together in the future. That's just how I view life, and the spirituality seems to be the best thing that fits me with that. So I just find it super interesting, and I just think everything for me always happens for a reason. I can always find a reason that it happens. So even looking back on this injury, it might take a couple months or weeks or maybe even a year to figure out why that may have happened. But I'll always be able to see the lesson and learn from it. I'm very big on I'm quite self-aware, I think, very big on self-growth and looking into that and how can I be a better person, or how can I do this better? What can I learn from that? What's this taught me? What's this person in my life going to teach me? And I don't know, I think it's just real interesting. It's kind of deep, but I just really like that kind of stuff.
And what's prompted this exploration into spirituality?
I think I just maybe crave a deeper understanding of life. I don't know. Without getting too deep, I find human behavior is very interesting, how our past can shape our perspectives, and everybody's got a story and a journey and what makes them who they are, and how you can be influenced by people around you. And it's such a real thing, who you surround yourself with really can impact you. And I'm the type of person, if I'm around someone with a different accent, I start talking like them. And even just things like that, why does that happen? Why do we pick each other's mannerisms, and what can we learn from this? And if something goes wrong, well, why did that go wrong? What was the lesson there? And I don't know, I just think you can get a lot of self-reflection from it, and you can really connect with people from it and just think about things a bit more. I kind of like doing that.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, I love the phrase amor fati, which is Latin for accept your fate.
Yes.
Kind of, it will be what it will be. But also this idea that things don't happen to you, things happen for you.
Yeah.
So even when you have a bad race, when you have a bad training session, when you get an injury, that hasn't happened to you, it's happened for you.
Yeah.
There's a learning in everything.
I agree 100%.
Don't you think? There's a lesson in everything.
Yeah. I think for me this year, all of this bad stuff happened genuinely for me to just actually realise how strong I am, how strong of a person I am, what I can cope with, and just... This is probably the first year where I've looked back, and it sounds insane, but where I actually really feel proud of myself. And that's max. Obviously, I won the Olympics last year. I've done a lot in my life already at a young age, but I just feel like against all odds, I just kept pursuing and kept pushing through, and just wouldn't really take... You could argue that fate was maybe saying you shouldn't be doing that because it kept going wrong. But I was just no, it's just another challenge. It's just... They're trying to test me.
So if we could wave a magic wand and remove all of the challenges that you've had in 2025.
Say that again, sorry?
If we could wave a magic wand and remove all the challenges you've had this year.
No, I would say no.
You wouldn't take the deal?
No. I would keep it because I just think it's been such an interesting part of my life. It's definitely been a... What do they call it when it's a year? Everyone has sometimes every now and then a year that just changes everything.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's been one of those, and it's changed me for the better. I honestly wouldn't change a thing.
I don't think this is new for you, though, because just around the time of COVID, you also put up a nice quote, which was, make sure you test positive for faith, keep your distance from doubt, and isolate yourself
from fear. That was my dad, actually. My dad sent me that on the morning of the Olympic final, and I just wrote it in my book, and I was like, you know what, I like that because it's very relevant with what was going on at the time. Yeah. We was out in Japan, nobody was there, we couldn't leave the hotel, it was very isolating, and you could argue you had a lot of times just sit in your thoughts and overthink and having to take COVID tests every morning, even wear a mask all the time. It was a very different experience, obviously, in Tokyo this time. But I do like a good little quote that just kind of recenters you and just makes you not think so much. Sometimes it really is just so simple. All I got to do is run.
And is that what this does for you? It removes the need to control everything.
Yeah. I think when you're in a profession and you want to do really well and it's only me out there, I have a whole team of people that I work with, an incredible team, but I'm the one that's got to go out and perform, and not everything's going to go right. Example, in Tokyo, the warm-up was a bit of a mess out there because it was so far away from the stadium and things like that. I remember in the first round, my hamstring got tight on the start line, and in my head, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna survive this race. So that was another hurdle to mentally overcome. You're in control of everything. I'm in control of what I eat, of what I put in my body, how much sleep I get. If I warm up properly, if I do my recovery properly, all these things I've got to control to hope that this 2 minutes of my life goes right. Sometimes it can be a lot mentally overwhelming and have I done everything, have I done this, that, and I just like to go, if you have one more sip of water, Keely, is it really going to make a difference? No. Move on.
Is that what you'd said to yourself just before you compete?
Maybe not at that exact moment, but it might be because people get into superstitions, I think, sometimes, and when you're traveling around the world so much, like you got to be flexible. Like they might not have an ice bath, and you might have to wing it in the shower or do something here and there. Like you've got to be open to be flexible, and I think that is a good thing to get into, because when it's not available and you crumble, what are you going to do when you're like on the other side of the world and no one can help you, and because you've got the superstition in your head? And I totally get superstitions as well, but I broke mine this year. So I used to always race with my rings off. I would never ever wear them. And my jewelry as well, I just always take it off. I have done for years. And then this year I was kind of like, no, new Keely, we'll keep it on. And then I raced with it all on this year. It's only something small, but I was like, that's so interesting.
Why was that significant? Let's be honest. Parenthood gives you the highest highs and the lowest lows. It can drain you. It can challenge you. It can push you to your limits, your time, your energy, your focus. It's all gone. And how often do you feel like you're just running on empty? And then it's so hard to show up and be that parent that you really want to be. And high performance, by the way, isn't just about big wins. It isn't about victories. It's about showing up consistently for the people and the things that matter the most. And that is why I take Vitals from Heights. This is just 2 capsules. You take them once a day, and it's got omega-3, all the B vitamins, iron, D3, 20 essential nutrients. And what's really important, actually, for me personally, is that I know this is designed by doctors and dietitians. I know it's been tested again and again and again. It takes me seconds to take these capsules, but it gives me that stamina, that focus, that better sleep, that mental clarity that just lasts and lasts. All of the things that I think help me to be the dad that I want to be, and not the dad that's so tired he can't play with his kids. And if you don't trust me, maybe you'll trust the science. Maybe you'll trust the 120,000 people that take Vitals, and they take it for a good reason. So if you want to feel sharper, more focused, more in control throughout your day, just go to heights.com/HP and use the code HP20 for 20% off, or easily just click the link in the description.
Well, I feel like it was a change. It was like a change in me. Like I was like, I say it sounds so stupid, like she races with her rings on. But I think that was a noticeable, like, no, we're in a new era. This is a new me. I like to wear my jewelry. I'm just going to keep it on. It's going to make no difference. I train in it all the time. And then it went really well.
More
so
freedom.
now I can, more freedom, literally that. Otherwise, I'm there in the cold room trying to pull my rings off my finger. It's not good.
You said you wrote that quote from your dad down in your notebook. Mm-hmm. Will you take us into the pages of that book?
Oh, should have brought it with me. But that one was, so when you're at the Olympics, they give you like a little notebook. I had that Paris one, and then the Japan one in Tokyo, where you can just write things down. There's a lot of things to kill and stuff, but I'm very much a visualizer, a drawer, a writer of notes. Mine looks more like a mind map than it does like a written entry. But I just like to say little things to myself that I might write down that keep me in that confident, winning mindset of I can do something. You know, I might draw the podium and there'll be a GB flag on the top, or look at the medal, or draw where I am, and just kind of like visualize all of that. I'm very much someone that maybe that comes into the spirituality of like manifestation. Like I'll see it and believe it so much, like it's just got to happen. And it hasn't worked out every single time, but I've been near enough, more often than not.
I think it's powerful. And I can't really say the science backs it up, because there isn't an awful lot of science, right, about visualization, but the evidence backs it up, that people that spend time thinking about these things, they get the results they want. But there will be people listening to this now, and they a bit like I think we're feeling, like we feel like we are talking to a different Keely than the one from 2024, where you were still an elite performer, but you were an elite performer who had figured everything out to get you to win a medal, right? And everything was kind of pushed towards that. Whereas it almost feels like you've let go of everything. I'm going, do you know what? I'm going to go out with my mates, and I'm going to put it on my social media, and I'm going to ignore criticism, and I'm going to wear my jewelry when I run, and I'm going to lean into spirituality if it works for me. Like this kind of letting go of stuff rather than controlling things. Obviously is really powerful for you, and I think it's fantastic, because very few athletes that we've spoken to have found freedom during their careers.
Yeah.
We speak to them when they've retired, and they go, oh, I was finally able to let go of controlling every tiny part of my life, and I wish I'd done it earlier because I didn't enjoy it. And I think the most exciting thing here is I feel like we're talking to someone who will be enjoying what she's doing because she has that freedom.
Yes.
But a lot of people won't have that. So what could you share with us to help those people that think, God, I'm still just trying to control my life to get it to a place where I want it to be?
That's really hard because I think it's not easy to just say, oh, just let go, just let go of everything, because it definitely is a mindset. And I do think you can change your mindset and change how you approach it, but you have to be willing to do the work to do so. And that takes time. You say, it takes 90 days to break a habit. So for me, there's a really good quote that it's like, what you're not choosing, you're choosing. And if it's like 3 stages to change something. You think about it and you're like, oh, I'd like to be like that. And you do nothing about it. You think about it, maybe start, and then it doesn't really go so well. So then you stop. And then there's the third time where you actually do it. And I think you just got to ask yourself, like, how much is this affecting your life? What would you like to be like? And why are you not trying to do that? Because you'd have a much happier life. For me this year, I feel like my 19-year-old self again in some ways. I feel like a new version of myself. But when I was 19 in that Olympics, I was such a carefree teenager. And I remember thinking, I don't ever want to lose this carefree teenager inside of me, because I think that what makes me so good at the racing. I'm like very much like, say, F it and go for it. And that's that young naivety of like, you don't really fully understand. And as we get older, our experiences shape us, our perspective changes, things become more intense. They feel like they're more important, but really it's the exact same thing. So I think for me, it was really holding on to that like inner child of whatever.
Yeah. Did you lose that 19-year-old Keely at one point?
I think I did over the years, yeah. After that Olympics, I took on a lot more responsibility. I grew up quite quickly, stepped into adult life. I mean, I've lived by myself since then. And I did 1 year at university and dropped out. So definitely responsibility came quicker. And I think when that does come, like being an adult, it does hold you back a bit. It does make you think, you become more fearful of things, of what can go wrong and what can do this. Whereas the young teenager in you would be like, well, who cares? I guess go home to my parents' house and do whatever, it doesn't matter. And it's really hard to change that as an adult because you do have more responsibilities, you shouldn't ignore them. But I think it's just like going back to who you were. And I think, I don't really know how I'm trying to say this, if it's making any sense.
No, it does, yeah.
But
it reminds us of, we've spoken to a lot of athletes in various sports that talk about, there's 3 things you're describing. One is the expectation you put on yourself or others do it, a reminder of your own ability, but then the consequences of failure. And if the weight of expectation or the consequences appear too heavy or too severe, we often forget just what we're capable of. We stop focusing on our own ability.
You start thinking about just everything that can go wrong or what's not right. And the human brain definitely looks for the negativity before it'll find the positivity.
Yeah.
And there's like another quote that I like, and it's you always think yourself into a bad mood, but never into a good mood. You always think yourself into negativity rather than positivity, or how bad something can go rather than how good it can go. And I do think I've definitely tricked my brain into thinking the more positive side, like, oh, but this could be so good, even though it's a bit scary or it might not go well, or I'm probably more the way I think it's going to go well, more that it's going to go bad.
Right, okay.
So when it goes bad, you're a bit like, oh.
Yeah, but what does it do for you to think things are going to go bad? Like they still might.
They still might.
But I can't see the benefit to believing that's going to happen.
No, and if you think that, most likely it's going to happen. And it's that state of anxiety. And when I was younger, I never used to think anxiety was a thing. I was like, anxiety, what's that? I don't understand when people are saying they've got anxiety. And then I experienced it and I was like, oh, that's actually horrible.
When was that?
Really
when did
nice.
you first experience it?
I think probably last couple of years. You just get anxious about, teenage girl growing up, young 20s, like life comes at you, you have relationships, friendships and things like that. And that was the first time I'd ever been anxious. And I was like, this is horrible.
What did it feel like?
I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. It was, especially coming after that 2021, I was quite anxious that winter. I didn't get much sleep at all. And it was horrible. I hated it. I didn't understand what was happening to me. I was saying to my mum, like, why do I feel like this? I don't understand. So once I experienced it, I was like, okay, this is actually a real thing. But I like to flip. I think anxiety is quite a negative word. And I just try and flip it into like excitement, because your brain it knows the feeling, but it's your brain telling you what it is. So you get anxious for a race, but I'll call it excitement because I'm also excited to be out there. So I think just little things like that little habits you can change that can change your mindset completely. You just got to want to be consistent with it.
See, I find this conversation about mindset fascinating. I was looking at a 2007 study in a magazine called Sports Psychologist where they looked at like super athletes, like the world's best, and they identified 30 key attributes of mental toughness.
Oh yeah, I've been interested. 2007.
Yeah, it was done in 2007, the study, but like one of them, there was 4 dimensions. It was attitude and mindset, training, competition, and how you handle post-competition. But the mindset one was the one that they said stood out the most in terms of athletes. And for you, when the bit that I'm really wanting to explore, Keely, is the management of pain. There's a quote that stood out for me that said,
even your laugh alone tells us it's an interesting place to. So why do you laugh at that?
I have a bit of a weird mindset when it comes to that.
Well, I wouldn't want to explain because there's a quote that said, in the 800 metres, pain is not a possibility, it's a certainty. How you handle that separates contenders from pretenders.
Yeah. Yeah, if you choose the 800, you really like pain. I'm not going to lie. When I'm training, like, training's so hard. I can't even comprehend how hard training is. I was at the track on Friday, halfway through the session, throwing up, feeling awful, and I still get up and run, carry on. And being able to put yourself through that because by choice, because you want to. Apparently I want to do this. It's definitely a really interesting mindset. I like to look at it as how much pain can I put myself in? Like, how much can I tolerate? That sounds really messed up. It's like, who's hurt her? But I find it really interesting because the 800 does hurt. When you're doing those lactic sessions and your legs are burning, your head's spinning, I literally can't barely see for hours afterwards because you've really put your body like through it. One of my talents that Trevor will say is like how hard I can push my body and get the best out of myself. But something that's helped me on a daily basis through that is just rather than, oh my gosh, I'm dreading this so much. And I do have those days, don't get me wrong, where I think I don't want to be in pain today. This is going to really hurt. I've done the session before. It takes however long. I'm going to be sick. I hate being sick. When I'm sick, I cry. So I'm crying mid-session. I just think like, okay, the more pain I put myself in now, the easier it is on race day.
Okay.
I love race day. Race day doesn't hurt half as much. The race hurts, but the adrenaline's so high, sometimes I can barely feel it.
But I was interested in, have you ever seen the Tim Noakes work around the central governor? So he's a professor of physiology, I think, who says that when your brain tells you you're exhausted, he estimates that actually it's just like an early warning signal to say...
You can go one further.
You can go further because he was interested in how athletes do that final kick at the end of a marathon, for example, where they look exhausted 2 miles earlier. And I'm interested in how you've learned to override that pain. So you go, I want to welcome this rather than fear it. Yeah.
Oh, that is an interesting one. I think your body and mind goes into like a fight or flight, where it's like, well, Olympic gold's on the line. You think you're dead, but if you don't give it that extra everything and then you fail, you're going to look back and be like, well, why didn't I try hard on that? Most athletes, when they're on their start line, they're giving it absolutely everything. And I think it's that the desire to want to win or want to achieve this certain thing or just get everything out of themselves overrides the pain. It must do because we continuously do it all the time. So for me, you do all that pain. Training is definitely way harder than racing. So when you do all of that, I'm not going to let a little bit of lactic pain in my legs like mentally stop me from giving it my everything. I think you just become tolerant to it. You become used to it. And yeah, I don't really know how to explain it other than that. Other than like, it just comes with the job.
We've always said this thing like, and I've heard it from athletes for years, like the harder I train now, the more successful I know I'll be when it comes to competition. Like I wonder whether there's actually any evidence about that. Like I know that
I'm 50-50 on that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can go too hard and completely burn yourself out and kill yourself. That's
I think it gives you the mental. It gives you that sort of mental calmness to go, well, I've given everything. So if I don't win, I don't win. But also I know I'm more likely to because I've tried. Whereas maybe if you had the doubt that you were half-arsing it in training for the last 6 months, maybe you wouldn't perform. But I'd be interested whether actually giving 20% less actually means 20% less on track. I don't think it would.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's definitely, it's, in terms of elite athletes, if you were to line up everyone in track and field, there definitely will be athletes that work harder than others. And there will be some that are more talented. One of my other favourite quotes is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And if you have both, that's when you get these like incredible performances in human beings like Sydney McLaughlin and Shelley Ann and, you know, these sprinters and long distance runners that we have.
What are you?
What am I what?
Talented or hardworking or both?
I think I'm both.
Quite right.
I think I'm both. I work damn hard. I have a really good mindset, and I obviously have talent there. It's just a weird thing to conceive. Like, I have talent in running around in a circle. It's a bit of a weird thing to be talented at, but it works for me.
But why is that a weird thing, though? I think that, like,
it's just a bit random, innit?
well, yeah, but then, like, if you look at the multiple intelligence theory, the idea that everyone's clever at something,
Yeah.
you know, and like your intelligence manifests itself on the track and your ability to read a field and go further than most.
Yeah. I guess I think sit there and sometimes think, why did I choose to be good at this? Like, I don't really.
Yeah, but also
know.
you didn't know, did you? Because you have
It
a God-given
chose me.
talent, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's another area which we can explore, which is if you have got a load of talent, it's kind of hard to reward yourself and praise yourself for having that talent because you didn't choose it. If you also work so damn hard that you're throwing up and crying mid-training session, then you're allowed to praise yourself for what you've achieved.
Yeah,
Because
you've
added the personal hard work to the God-given ability.
Yeah, track is a real interesting one for that because I think genetics obviously plays a role. I was born this way. There's nothing I can do about that. And you can have everyone line up in the women's 800, you know, someone will be stronger than me out there. Somebody will be faster than me. Somebody will have more endurance than me. But when it all comes together, whatever I present, that works for me, and what they do works for them. And it's like, who is the best and this and that? And it's a really interesting one because, like I say, hard working, there are some athletes out there that purely just absolutely work their arse off. And that's how they've gotten to where they are. Obviously, they'll have some talent, but there could be someone that's even more talented than them, doesn't work as hard, therefore hasn't achieved as much.
Can I just ask you to share with us what a training session looks like that has you throwing up halfway through it? Because I kind of assumed you do a lot of 800 metres, but it sounds like
I never run 800 metres.
You never ran 800 metres in training?
Nope. Never.
That's weird. That's like a footballer not kicking a ball.
Yeah, no. We do, I run over 800, so I'll do like 1K reps, we'll do long minute reps, like 8-minute reps, 4-minute reps, and then on the track,
What are they?
do, what?
8-minute and 4-minute reps.
So like I run for like 8 minutes, like tempo, like pretty, I'm trying to do the conversion of, if I'm fit in the winter, say we'll do, by a session we'll do like 3 by 8 minute runs, and we'll be running for 8 minutes at maybe around 5-minute miling, 5 minute per mile pace, and then do it again, and then do it again.
And how much of a gap?
I hate those guys. Like 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I haven't done them since last year, and they're going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I'm not looking forward to it. And then I also do hill training, and we do track work, gym work. I do some sprint work as well because I'm trying to bring down my 400 stuff. So we have a real mix of everything. But in terms of the 800, I never run 800 meters on a track ever in training. No, the furthest I'll do is 600.
What's the reason for that?
Well, I'll never go over 600 meters on the track as well. So for all the track fanatics out there, that's because I think Trev likes to keep it that when we go to the track, the mindset is it's fast. So all my faster sessions are always on the track. I never do tempo or longer stuff around the track.
Oh, that is actually a brilliant thought, isn't it?
I'm giving out my secrets, sir.
Imagine all the young athletes who are wondering how they can knock a bit of time at 15 years old off their 800 metres, and they suddenly realise, oh, right, so I just run 600 metres faster and I'll do the extra 200 in the competition. Yeah,
so we'll do sessions, and the track sessions, the furthest I need to run on the track will never be over 600. That's just the way I train. If you was to ask Georgia, my training partner, hers is different because she trains for the 1500.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's also obviously really good at the 800 as well. She does both. But I'm more 400, 800, so this is just how I train. I think, Trevor just likes to keep it the mindset of the track is fast. You associate the track with being fast. So all my sessions on there are either killer lactic or speed work.
Killer lactic.
And everything. Killer lactic, that's when I'm crying, throwing up. I'll try to think of a session.
Yeah, good. I'd love to just get from you a session. Imagine if I could do it. I don't think I could.
One of the worst ones we have would be 3 500s off 7 minutes. 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Yeah. And that sounds like nothing.
Explain that.
So you have 500 meters
Yeah.
and you're hitting it above what your 800 pace would be, but not quite like sprinting.
Right.
But it's enough to get that like lactic phase. So lactic kicks in after 42 seconds of running at a certain speed.
Is that
Something
for
like
you,
that.
or is
I
that
think that's just a general for
rule?
everyone.
Yeah.
I think Trevor told me that. Yeah,
Mine's
it
more
kicks in.
4.2 rather than 4T2. Yeah, so okay,
It
so you
says
run
40
that.
seconds.
Yeah.
But then before it slows you down, it's an energy booster. So it will be, your body will turn it into energy at first. So you'll actually be able to go faster off of it, and then comes a deceleration where your legs feel like bricks. And that's
And when does that kick in? When it
after
deceleration?
42 seconds.
But the 42 seconds, it gives you a boost.
It starts to come at 42 seconds, and then probably in the 800, probably around 500 meters, it comes in, and that's that feeling when your legs feel like they're swimming in bricks and you can't move them.
Yeah.
And then literally the 800 is all about how long can you fight that off for, and who can fight it off the best, because that's coming to like slow you down and stop you, the oxygen deprivation and things like that, running at that pace. So that's that kind of session. 3 500s, we'll do it once, we'll do it again, and then we'll do it again. And the
what
idea
gap?
is to get a
short gap again.
like 7 minutes.
Okay.
And the longer the recovery, the worse the session is. When I first saw this session, I was like, 3 500s, that's like nothing. I didn't get off the track for half an hour. I could not move. I
Honestly?
felt horrendous. If I looked up, my eyes were seeing black spots everywhere. My head was banging. I was going to be sick. And it's one of those things that you literally, unless you've experienced it and you want to go do a lactic session, you won't even understand what I'm talking about. But for the athletes out there that have, that stuff is brutal.
And so if you're laying on the track for half an hour after you've done this, what are you thinking 100 meters from the end of that third run that's going to leave you on the floor for half an hour? Like, how are you still moving?
I can lie down and not get up after this, is what I'm thinking. Sometimes I'll line up on the last rep and think, okay, Keely, it's like you've got 400 meters and then you can literally not get up. It's done. But I also like to just think like it's 1 minute of your life. Like it's 1 minute of pain to get through, and then you've got the rest of your day to recover.
Yeah. And are there any like warning signs, like what are the physical cues that you know the pain's about to hit? Say in a race, like is there anything that you sort of recognise that you go, here it comes?
You can just feel it. You can feel it trying to slow you. Your posture starts going. So we work really hard on our core, trying to keep as flowy state as possible. There's not like there's a right way to run, but there kind of is, like technically, and what can be the most efficient. That's definitely something I've worked on the last couple of years. How can I run the most efficiently to get the most out of every single stride? But you'll just start slowing down. Your arms might start going, your back starts arching because your legs are falling off from beneath you. And I remember if you watch my last 10 meters from Tokyo, the lactic really hit me that last 50 meters. I thought I was going to fall over. And I just remember there being bricks and I'm trying to force my leg in front of the other and fighting it. But I'm used to that. So,
but do you go from, because it sounds like the first 400, you're almost in that flow state of you running and not even thinking about the process of running. But that last 100, you suddenly become very aware of everything.
Yeah, the last 100 for me sometimes is where the 800 starts. Like it's when it hurts the most. It's when everybody's struggling and it's like who's got what left or who can keep it together. You know, when you see people actually fall over the line, they've got that lactic, they've given everything. Their body physically cannot move anymore. It physically stops you, which is kind of insane. But
so why do you love this pain? Why do you want to be punished like this? Have you actually ever asked yourself that question?
I think I just like the process of seeing how much pain I can tolerate and seeing how good it can make me. I've obviously found over the years that I'm quite good at this 800 thing. I'm quite good at track and field, and it's given me an incredible life. I've been to some amazing places. I love the life that I live. I literally love it. I wouldn't change it. And the only thing that's going to get me there is to keep putting myself through this pain. So I've got to find a way to love it, to not be scared of it. Because if you're scared of it, you're not going to push yourself as hard. You're not going to be as good. And just really embrace it. But don't get me wrong, it is scary sometimes. And do I want to be getting on my Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. thinking I'm not going to be able to move for the rest of the day. And this is going to hurt me like hell.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I keep coming back for more.
Can we talk about Trevor for a moment?
Of course we
Because
can.
people have heard his name mentioned an
The
awful
big
lot.
Trev.
And Jenny.
And Jenny.
Yeah.
And the whole M11 gang.
What is the secret to getting the best out of someone else that you've learned from them?
Oh, Trevor is such an interesting coach to me. He's obviously known me since I was 17. So I joined him when I was 17. And he has watched me grow from this young teenage prodigy into a young woman, live life, perform. We have a really, really great relationship. Like, I would consider them almost to be my second. People joke and say, like, if I was, ever get a boyfriend, bring them home, like, well, they've got two sets of parents to impress. So it would be my parents and then my second family, and they've got a little daughter as well, and she's the sweetest. But Trevor's way of coaching is very relaxed. He's very good at understanding what people need. He understands me so well. He knows what makes me tick, and he knows how to manage me. And his environment is all about happy athlete is a fast athlete. So we take our time at training. Some of the other groups when we're at camp are like, you guys are at the track for ages. And we're like, yeah, we're not in a rush. We get everything done properly. We have a laugh. We have a joke. My favourite thing about Trevor is he takes nothing too seriously at all. If you go...
So what was he like after Tokyo?
Well, honestly, we didn't even talk about it. We just went straight to the karaoke bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What, you and Georgia and Trevor?
Yeah, we
That
all
in
went.
itself
My
can be
family,
great
the
coaching.
Nike employees were there. We were all just having a good time in the karaoke bar. Didn't even talk about it. He gave me a hug, and he was just like, I know. And I was like, yeah. I still don't even think I've spoken about it with him, to be honest. I've been back. I came back and he's on his holidays now, and I've got this one more race to go, but we'll have a debrief later on.
But maybe he knows that you didn't need something in that moment, and that's a good...
Probably. He knows I'm not the type that needs loads of people around me after a bad moment. I don't like it when people come and like, they know you're disappointed, and I think sometimes, and they mean it in the kindest way, they just want to be sincere, but they look at me like someone's died.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's okay. It's just a race. Like, it's okay. And I don't like that because it makes me feel like I should feel worse maybe than what I do, and I shouldn't be okay. Where I'm like, no, it's fine. It is what it is. It's done now. And I don't need to talk about it. I don't need you to tell me how you think I could have done it better. I just want a hug, and I would just like to move on. That's how I approach it. And my friends have gotten used to that, and they're really great with it. But after Tokyo, as much as I was disappointed, I wanted to cry and I was upset, I was also like, well, it's done now. I can go and have a good time with my friends and family and with G and with Trev and celebrate the fact that we made it through this terrible year.
Yeah, well, I thought it was notable because Jen was doing the punditry, wasn't she, in the studio? Have you seen?
I've seen bits of it.
Because one, she was really good. She was really insightful beforehand, but it was her reaction afterwards, and
Yeah.
she just spoke about how proud she was of you. There was nothing about the colour of the medal. It was more about what you'd been through and the journey and what you'd experienced. So it's nice to hear that's as consistent in front of this camera as it is in the shadows.
Yeah, they're great people. Honestly, could not ask for a better coaching team. Like, we have no problems. We all get on. And to have such a big group now, we built a bit of an empire in Manchester with the M11, and we've got international athletes coming over, and they know what they're doing, and they're doing an incredible job. So, yeah.
But you used a lovely line early on, Keely, when you said about, I've just got to run around the track twice.
Yeah,
And it's literally the simplicity of it. Is that the kind of messaging that Trevor and Jenny will offer you? Don't overcomplicate it. Just keep
Yeah,
it-
I think what really helps as well is Jen's been an athlete. She was a world-class 800-meter athlete in her time. She's been through it, and there's a lot of things that she'll say and that we'll manage from that. So, but when it comes to balance, here's an example. She'll be like, when I was an athlete, as an athlete, sometimes you only take time off when your body tells you have to. So that's when it's reached its end, you got hurt or this and that. That's the only time an athlete tends to stop. Where she's like, I wish that I would, been more relaxed on a weekend at Christmas or done this or done that. She's like, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. So we take things like that on board. And she's like, if I was at this so-and-so race, like, I used to think about what everyone else was doing. I don't want you guys to do that. Don't do that. do this instead. That's definitely really helpful that we have that insight that she's been and done it. Everything that they've built now was learned from her career.
Right.
And she had an amazing career. But it's like now they know so much more and they can pass it on to us. And it's just incredible to have access to that and for them to be so near to where I grew up. Like, it's incredible. I grew up 7 miles away from them.
And can you think of one incident where they've made a real tangible difference, just a bit of advice or wisdom that passed on to you?
Probably all the time. We have lots of chats. I think what works so well with me and Jen and Trev is that it just flows so easily. We almost like teach each other things. I think when Jen was competing, it was a bit of a tough time in terms of there was quite a lot of doping in the sport then. She lost a lot of medals due to that. And she just didn't want us to feel that way. And I think she probably went through a period of time where she was quite neglecting of the sport. And I think it's a lot better now. I don't think that way at all about when I'm competing. I think it just probably goes back to the enjoyment of it. It flows really well between us because I think they understand me, I understand them, and we sometimes don't even need to say too much. So I can't really pinpoint a moment where I'm like, she said this and that changed my entire perspective. I think we teach each other things. She's learned that through my naivety and carefreeness of a 19-year-old that, wow, this relaxed approach maybe does work, and that's how we should look at it. Like, I remember I'd call her and I'd be doing my makeup and she'd find that funny because she's like, you're just so relaxed and things like that. So I think we just learn from each other, and there's things that she'll tell me where I'm like, oh, okay, I'll consider that in my next race. Or there's some people as well that I race that she also used to race in that like crossover period.
All right.
So there's actually 21 years between me and Jen. But towards the end of her career, the young people that she used to race, they're now the older end and I'm racing them. So it's quite an interesting dynamic. But I think overall we help each other along the way in terms of making decisions. I'm now at a point in my career where I understand the training. I understand what does what and why we do certain things, where I'm starting to have a little bit of an input in what I do.
Right.
So when I was coming back from the injury in July, me and Trevor were talking and he's like, I'm thinking of doing this session. And I was like, yeah, I like that one because I know that's going to help me do this. And he's like, oh, I love it that you can understand it now and we can have this conversation and you can say like, you know what the session feels like and maybe don't put it there and do it like this. And it's become a real partnership now. And it's a great place to be in that level of trust.
You mentioned about obviously the shadow of doping that cast a pall over Jenny's career in some ways. Do you ever go into any of these big championships though with that concern that you're going to be racing against somebody that might be cheating?
I actually haven't so far. And I think it was a big thing at the time. And it was very public, obviously, with the Russians and the things like that. But I think one thing we learned from her is you just can't think that way because it can make you very angry. It can make you feel like you're missing out on things. And if something like that's going to come out in the future, it will come out. Big believer in the truth will always come out. And you just got to take it for what it is at the moment. I know I'm a clean athlete. We work really hard. I do my very best. And yeah, that's all I can do, really. I try not to think too much. And I do think that the governing bodies are doing a really good job of, I think they've cleaned up the sport in the last 10 years or so. So
how does it serve you
to
think you might be racing doping athletes? It doesn't serve you in any way, does it?
No.
You can't control it?
I literally don't even think about it. There's not even a point. And that's a great place to be in as well because, yeah, you don't want to be thinking about that on the start line.
One final question before we go on to our quick fires is just goal setting. Like you've mentioned a few times being single or having a boyfriend. Do you have a plan for that? You've mentioned a few times your family, spending more time with them. There's a world record that stood since 1983 that I'm sure you would love to demolish for various reasons. There's other Olympic medals to win.
Yeah.
With this idea of freedom and flow and accepting my fate and being spiritual and allowing the universe to come to me.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with goal setting?
Oh, so I think up until this year, I used to kind of think that maybe like you can't have it all. But I've come to realize I think you actually can. I think you really can have it all. Like I think you can have the family and the amazing kids, and you can have the job and the career, and you can be successful, and you can have great friends and family, and it can actually all go right at the same time. I mean, I'm very young to be saying all that, but I do think that's possible. So when it comes to goal setting, I don't really goal set. The limits are endless. I just let it come to me. There's ideas that I'd want to do. You know, there's brands I'd like to work with. There's events I'd like to go to. There's medals I'd like to win. World records, that's definitely a big thing. I really want to get near that world record, the indoor and the outdoor one. I do think it's possible. But I just think sometimes when you set goals, I feel like it puts a limit on it. Like, what time do you want to run this year? Well, I don't want to put a time down because what if I exceed that? And if I put in my head, okay, I want to run 1:53.7, and then that's the limit.
Yeah.
Then what if I want to run 1:52?
Yeah. So we will move on to our quickfire questions, but we spoke a long time ago to the entrepreneur, a lady called Susie Ma, who created Tropic Skincare.
Okay.
And she said one of her biggest learnings was that purpose really matters, right?
Yeah.
But that in her mind, infinite purpose is the thing that matters. So instead of you saying, I want to set this time, or I want to break this world record, or I want to win this medal, your infinite purpose should just be, I want to be a better athlete
Yeah.
and a happier athlete every single day. Well, if you're a better, happier athlete every day,
They'll come. Everything comes. Yeah. I really believe that as well. I think that also like taps into that spirituality side a little bit, where it's just like the fate is going to happen and you can have ideas and manifestations and things, but ultimately what it's going to be, it's what's going to be. So I don't really get down if I miss out on opportunities. You know, if I can't make a front cover of something or I can't do that, it'll come back around. Like, it'll come find me if it's meant for me. And I think that's freedom, letting go and just letting everything happen.
I think it's really empowering.
Yeah.
And let's make that then the first quickfire question. If you were to set yourself an infinite purpose, what would that sentence look like?
I think you literally said it, to be a better person and a better athlete every single day, both on and off the track, not just in my career, but also like who I am with my friends, who I am with my family, like the type of person I want to be. All that's really important to me. So yeah, I try every day to be a better person.
Nice.
And if we were to project forward 20 years when you have retired, what would you want your fellow competitors to say about you?
Ooh, I'd want them to say that I was like a fierce competitor, that they really enjoyed racing me, and also that I treat everybody with respect and humility. Is humility the right word? Yeah. I'd like to think that I'm really respectful to my competitors. I don't think I'm completely better than everyone else. Like, obviously you have to think that to a degree, but I respect everyone on that start line because everybody's trying to do the same thing. And yeah, I just want them to say that they enjoyed that era of competing with me and they look back on it with good memories.
If you could give some advice to a younger Keely, what would you tell her?
Ooh, that your time will come. Everybody's time always comes. And I think when you're younger and you get caught up in these, you might be racing or looking at what the people are doing, everybody's on different trajectories. You can maybe think, oh, why is that not happening to me? Or why am I not doing that? And everybody's time comes. You just have to be patient and let it flow.
If you could go back to one moment in time, what would it be and why?
Ooh, I would go back to Paris last year, just because I had all of my friends and family, every single person I cared about in one place in Paris, I was able to give them a core memory to remember, and it was a big moment for me. And I think it's just rare to have something like that happen in your lives and being able to celebrate it with every single person that's like had an impact in your life.
That's so nice. Final question. Just to leave our viewers thinking about this, your one golden rule for living a high performance life after everything you've been through over the last 12 months, what does that look like now?
It would be on the lines of just being happy for everyone else as well as yourself. I think when I was like sat back and I couldn't do anything, and although that was really frustrating for me sitting there with bitterness or jealousy or anger is not going to get me anywhere. I was still very happy for my training partners to be doing so well, very happy that everything was going well for everyone else and what's going on in their life, and just focusing on what I want to do and what's going to make me the best version of me.
What a kind and lovely way to finish. And as you love a quote, I'll leave you with one. Pay attention to those who don't clap when you win.
Oh, I like that one.
Get that in
Yes.
your notebook.
You want to watch those ones? Watch those ones.
Yeah, they're out there.
They are out there. Keely, you seem in a great place. It's been lovely to have this
Thank you.
conversation. Like I
Thank you for
said
having
earlier,
me.
it's rare for us to speak to current athletes in a state of flow and calm and contentment, who kind of understand that it is just sport.
Just run around in circles. That's literally it. What a crazy life.
I know.
Oh, well,
you
you
do
are
it well.
Queen of the North, Keely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well done, Keely. Olympic champion.